husband did not drink all these bottles. And then on the back.
Are you sure?
On the back, it'll be, I just put this.
Oh, that's pretty.
Cotton fabric.
Well, making a quilt, I think that everyone who does make quilts does it because, number one, they have a love of sewing and a love of creativity, but then there's for whom you wish to be making that quilt, which makes it more special. Now, when you're giving it to a family member, sometimes you're making it because they like this color or because you love them or whatever, and that's the connection, I guess I should speak personally, for why I make quilts, is because it warms your heart to give them to them. So when you're doing it for total strangers whom you're never going to see, there's a separation there because you don't get to see their face when they receive it yet. But it's still a very strong emotional sensation that you get in giving. I think you do that anytime with any charity, is you give because it makes you feel good. It makes you feel that there's a purpose for it.
I did the ring in the middle is English paper piecing.
My grandma could sew and make quilts, and she started me quilting, and I made my first quilt in 6th grade, and it was just a simple 9-patch. It was supposed to be solids and prints, and some of mine are awful. And I know my grandmother spent a lot of nights straightening my seams, but it was fun, and so she was my inspiration. When you're making a quilt, your mind is totally occupied, and the hours and the days just fly by. And so it's an occupation that fully you're embraced with whatever you're doing, and even if it turns out ugly, you learn a lot.
When you think of a quilt, and a lot of people refer to it as a blanket, well, a blanket warms your heart, but a quilt warms your soul. That's what my mom always said. Well, you feel a part of the person who made the quilt when you're sleeping under it, when you touch it, when you see it, if it's a wall hanging. My husband says it's not a hobby anymore, it's an addiction.
That is beautiful. Beautiful. Wow.